Okay, great. All right, good. Okay, Rick, how you doing, man?
Good, good.
Good, cool, man. How's tell us how the tour is going so far?
Wonderful. Wonderful. It's we opened up in Indianapolis and two shows in Chicago. Those are the last 3 days we just played, and they were all sold out. They were wonderful.
Cool. Yeah, I heard you really rocked Chicago these past couple of days.
Yeah, well, that held a special meaning. You know, we played we did two shows, the old Regal Theater, and as you know, it's very much like the Apollo Theater in New York. You know, all the great old R&B artists played there. You know, and it was just a great feeling to be on that stage. You know, and where so many incredible, fantastic artists over the years have performed. You know, so it was a great reception. We had a lot of fun.
Cool. I was checking out the website today, actually, and I saw we just made a couple of comments about a few artists and music that they're doing these days, as far as like Hammer and the Artist and Sean Puffy Combs. I don't know, just to make sure I'm quoting you correctly. You said, "I feel sorry that," and talking about MC Hammer, "I feel sorry that he had enough insight to pick a great record like Super Freak for You Can't Touch This, but didn't have enough insight to his future." Could you expound on that a little?
Yeah, well, you know, it's one of the things that a lot of these rappers, I think, a lot of these rappers that are sampling music, I think one of the things that a lot of them fail to really understand, and they should, you know, from being in this business over 30 years, I've learned it, and that is that, you know, the bottom line is music, and music entails sometimes, most times, pretty much all the time, entails playing an instrument. I mean, and creating. And if one is going to live off someone else's endeavors, one surely either better pick the right songs, or eventually learn how to play an instrument, or, you know, learn how to create his own, you know, to create from his own soul. I mean, because once it happens where you get a hit record off sampling someone else's stuff, then you have to continue looking for that person or other person's records, and eventually that wears thin, and people get tired of it, and I don't think MC Hammer was looking to the future, you know?
I got you, yeah. You know, well, just kind of looking at his circumstance, he's kind of trying to get things back on track there. Prince's record, the Artist's record, his cover of Bet You By Golly Wow, you weren't too nuts about that.
I don't know. I mean, some records, when MC Hammer did Can't Touch This, I mean, with Super Freak, I thought it was, I mean, one thing I thought he chose a great record, because it was like a parody record. I mean, it was a spoof record for me in a lot of ways, talking about, you know, the freaks that I was hanging out with, and Menage a Trois, Three's Not a Crowd, and all that kind of stuff. It was a very personal record, but it was the kind of fun record that he could do, and almost do a spoof of a spoof. You know, when Prince did Bet You By Golly Wow, I mean, that's, to me, that was has and still is a classic record. And I think I can't understand why he did that. I certainly don't understand how he did such a terrible job of it. Because I think if you're going to do a classic, and if you're going to do a standard, you either need to do it justice or do it better than the originals did. And I think my own personal opinion is that if I have to choose between the Stylistics and Prince, I'm certainly going to take the Stylistics every time. I think he blasphemed that record. I didn't think he really did I think he got really self-indulgent on what he felt he really wanted to do, as opposed to what that record, you know, the ground on which that record stands. It's like sacred ground. Don't even walk on sacred ground unless you're really going to be sacred with it, you know?
Yeah, I got you. I kind of agree with you there in terms of, you know, what we know he's used to, what we're used to hearing from him creatively, and then the job he did on. I think it was more or less just kind of like you said, self-indulgent, and just the fact that he was in love with his present wife, probably. So just to close on that whole thing with information via the website, what's your view on Sean Puffy Combs and his music?
I think Sean Puffy Combs is really creative. I think he's a very creative young guy. You know, I think he's great at what he does. I would certainly love to hear him work with some real instruments and stuff, you know, and do some stuff like that, you know. Like I said, you know, it kind of trips me out a little bit when I hear young producers sampling a lot, you know. It makes it so I really don't know how creative they are, because to me it doesn't take a lot of creativity to really sample a record. I think Puffy is a brilliant producer. I would love to hear him and see what he does, see what he would do with some real instruments and some real groups. You know, I think eventually, hopefully, he'll do that, and I think it'll be a whole nother door for him. You know.
Rick, how's your time?
Pretty good.
Okay, cool, good. Just to refresh your memory, I was the guy who actually I flew in from New York to the opening show out there at the House of Blues.
Well, great.
And I was the only I was the guy who we spoke actually in your dressing room, and I was the guy who was the radio guy.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't have the not CNN or the other guys with the cameras and stuff. And what happened was when we were talking, and then we stopped our interview and to take a call from Geraldo.
Right.
I was under the impression that I was still recording, and I actually wasn't. That's why I needed to talk to you again today.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Cool, man. So I just want you to know I really appreciate your time, and I've just been a friend and a fan of yours, you know.
No problem, man.
Since you and I. So this just
no
moving
problem.
on now. Talk about the show at the House of Blues that night, the preview show, and how you felt with all the excitement and the energy that was generated that evening.
I felt really good about the House of Blues show. That was our. That was more of a reunion with fans than a concert to me. I hadn't played LA, me and the band, since '83. So, and there were a lot of friends there, and there were a lot of supporters there, and there were a lot of celebrities there, and along with the people that actually paid tickets to get in there. So, but I mean, the reception was incredible, and it was magic in the air that night. I felt, you know, and the band played really well. And but you know, I don't know. It's really hard to appraise shows. You know, I look at shows like, hey, if everybody had a great time, then it was a great show. If people walk out and they didn't sing along and they didn't have fun and they didn't scream and shout, then obviously they had a bad time. So I look at the House of Blues as was a great kickoff for our tour, and it's indicative because a lot of the crowds that we've been playing to have been very much like the House of Blues. So if that's the way that the tour is going to go, then I foresee a successful tour.
It was definitely a great show, man. I mean, it was 3 hours long, and it's like it only seemed like it was like an hour and a half. It was like you looked as you were watching, it was like, oh shit! It's like
that's
almost 12 o'clock. That was incredible.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, we're doing close to a 3-hour show. And it doesn't seem like that when you're up. It doesn't seem that long when you're up there, man. You know, I'm in my late 40s, you know, and like to you know, I used to just want to be on stage an hour or so and get the hell off the stage. But now it's like I long to be up on stage, and every show I seem I get a little stronger, you know, in my old age. And as long as the crowd is putting out, you know, and the crowd is having fun, we have fun. So. You know, I don't know, I felt a little bit like Bruce Springsteen on this tour because I remember Bruce used to do 3-hour shows, and I used to say, God, I don't know how he could do that, you know, but we've been doing that very same thing, and so now I understand it. As long as the people are into it, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, man. How's your voice holding up with all the interviews and all the singing that, you know, and from being on hiatus for such a period? How's that going?
My voice is getting stronger. The first few dates before the House of Blues dates, we actually did some couple small club dates, and I was just starting to sing again on a regular basis, other than being in a rehearsal, where you don't really get the adrenaline kick in. You know, when you're at rehearsal, it's kind of easy and flows, and it's kind of nice, you know, because you. But the other side of that is you don't really know until you go out in front of people and you start dancing and moving around and stuff, and those lights are on you. So the first small dates, you know, my voice was giving. You know, I didn't know how I was going to sing the next night, but now, you know, my throat is getting, everything's getting stronger and stronger. So, you know, it's a good thing.
Cool. Can we talk a little bit about the woman who helped you out while you were incarcerated at Folsom Prison, who helped you out with writing your songs?
Well, what do you want to know about her?
Just how she assisted you in maintaining your music, and how she brought you the cassettes and that kind of thing, enabled you to record.
Well, like I said, when I was in Folsom, it was they seemed to have it out for me in the respect where they had a great big music department there, and they would not allow me to participate in it, which was a big slight on me and a big setback for me, because that's what I was really looking forward to when I went to prison. I thought maybe I could be in the music department and help a lot of the young musicians and teach them about recording and teach them about the board and playing and writing songs and structure and all that kind of stuff. And I was really looking forward to doing that. So when I wasn't allowed to participate in the music department, it really hurt. And not only was I not allowed to participate in the music department, a lot of the COs in Folsom, old Marlboro men, redneck attitude type human beings were really out just to teach Rick James a lesson, and make his time there as rough as they possibly could. Well, there was one particular woman who worked there, and she was loved by all the inmates because of her personality and because of her attitude. She has such a great attitude. Most of the inmates called her Mom. And she had a pretty powerful position in Folsom. And I can say this now because she's no longer working there, which is probably a good thing for her. But she realized that what was happening, because she worked within the system, and she knew that I was having a hard time, and that she knew that I couldn't read music, but I could play. And I was writing a lot of songs, and I was forgetting them. As soon as I write them, I forget them because I couldn't notate them. And so what she did was she would get me a tape recorder, a cheap tape recorder. She'd sneak it in, and I would record. I would write and put everything down on tape, and I'd fill up 5 or 6 tapes, and then I'd get those tapes out. And then she'd bring me 6 or 7 more tapes, and I'd fill those tapes up, and I'd send out, I'd send the songs out. So I ended up with like 40 tapes filled from back to back, which accumulated to about over 400 songs, and that's how I wrote music, and that's how I survived. And God bless her for doing that.
Cool, man. If you would just tell us a little bit how you're keeping your family real close to you these days, in terms of like as you're traveling around, traveling on the road. I know we saw your daughter at the preview concert,
right.
And then now we have a lot of people, and as you're on a very positive track and back on the road, and doing the tour and everything with a new album coming out, Urban Rhapsody, on the 14th. Just talk about how you're keeping your family and your friends close to you, and how the parasites and derelicts affected your life negatively, before you went away for that period.
Well, before I went to prison, my lifestyle was basically just consisted of getting high 24/7, 24 hours a day, and cocaine and champagne type atmosphere, but it was filled with a lot of degrading situations and people, pimps, hoes, and crack smokers and strawberries and you name it. That constituted really my downfall because, like I said, when you're involved with smoking crack, and you're involved in doing a lot of drugs on a consistent basis, you're going to get a lot of darkness in your life, which is what I had. It was basically filled with darkness. Since coming out of prison, I don't surround myself with. I don't hang around. I don't associate with people who smoke crack or who do drugs. I stick close to my family. My 5-year-old son. I stick close to my old lady, and I stick close to home. To me, it's. I spent so many years out there in a party atmosphere, clubs, women, and sex, and just a real decadent type lifestyle that I owe it right now to my family myself to finally grow up. And now, since coming out of prison, I've taken on the responsibility of being a father to my 5-year-old son, Tasman, and my fiance, Tanya, and me are very close. And I keep them by me, and I keep close friends that are positive by me. I try to stay away from negative people. When I hear people being negative, and when I hear people stressing, and when I hear people tripping out on stupid things and things that really don't mean anything to my life or really to theirs, I just leave. I disappear, and I keep positive people around me. And the more positive energies I have around me, the more positive I'm going to stay. So that's the way I look at it.
Great. I know you when we met in California, you were saying how Tanya was wanted Stevie Wonder to sing at the wedding when you guys have that. Have we reached a closer time or a period or a date for that yet?
I don't know. We'll probably definitely be getting married sometime this year. If not this year, probably the beginning of next year. And I feel it's time to settle down. I really, tomorrow's never promised. I don't know really. I've had like an abundance of lives. Cats have 9, and I've had 90. So I've had all these new leases on life, and I think God has blessed me with a lot of good things right now. I mean, He's making a lot of things are happening in my life that are good things, and only God gives you good things. So I think the next thing would be to really just settle down, make an honest woman out of her.
Cool. Rick, in lieu of that, tell us a little bit about your conversation with Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead before he passed away.
Well, me and Jerry had done a TV show together. I've been knowing Jerry and Bob and some of the guys from the Grateful Dead for years. We did a lot of recording up in Marin and Sausalito at the record plant. And I had an opportunity to spend time with Jerry and kick it. And one of the last TV shows that me and him did together was really a show about survival, And we were just talking about, I think they were asking us questions about, me playing with Neil Young and stuff like that, and how I came up. And I think Jerry was talking about, how he came up in the Grateful Dead trip. And then when the camera broke, when me and him were just kicking it, we were like, we were just saying how it's the most miraculous thing is that to have survived the 60s and to still be here. And that was the topic of the conversation, that through all the drugs and through all the insanity that we're still here. And unfortunately, Jerry's no longer with us. And there was a time when I didn't think I'd be here either, So that was pretty much the gist. I miss Jerry, and I think about most of my friends that I was close to. Most of my musician friends had passed away and are no longer here, and he was one of them.
Cool. Can we tell us a little bit about the album Urban Rhapsody and how going around to different record labels and communicating with different record labels, how basically you didn't get any response from them, and then hooking up with Joe Iskro, and then you got the whole ball rolling and producing the album with Danny Lamel.
Well, when I got out of prison, I had a gang of songs. I got these 400 songs and all these new concepts and new ideas rolling around in my head. And at first, when I first got out, I just basically wanted to take it easy, and which I did. For a few months, I didn't do anything. Probably just, get acclimated back into society and wipe off the funk from Folsom Prison, which is a whole other story. But when I did decide that I wanted to record an album, I started opening up dialogue with record presidents from different companies. And I found it very strange that I'd have these meetings with these presidents, at these CEOs, these chairmen of these major corporations, and they were all gung-ho to record me. But then after the meeting, it seemed like everything kind of, it seemed like they were never in their office and this kind of thing. And I started to think something's really wrong here. And then I went to I had one particular meeting, and with one particular president, and they actually asked me to do some demos. And the people with me, they said, well, this is enough of this. So we kind of walked out, after 40 million records sold, somewhere around there, 35, 40 million records sold. They have the nerve to want me to do a demo to show them what I'm about. So I thought that was pretty silly. So I just got really tired of it. So I said, well, I'm going to put my own money. I'm going to invest in my own record. So, which is what I did. And I started recording my own album. Well, Joe has always been a supporter of mine, Joe Iskro, and he's one of the best marketing and promotion men in the business. So he came and he showed me some. He showed some desire that he wanted me to be on his label. And after talking to him, he felt the same way I did about what was going on, that it was stupid and ludicrous for me to be doing demos, and why am I doing demos? And he thinks that whatever I do, whatever music that I'm writing, that I'm still a winner and that I can still write and perform. So we decided to do a collaboration. It's like it's not really a president-artist relationship here. It's more or less a partnership and a collaboration, more than a record company. I am the record company, you are the artist. It's not really like that. It's more or less we have a partnership in this new album and a relationship for future albums.
Cool, man. Can we talk a little bit about
Rhapsody?
Some of the songs off of Rhapsody? Do you have a favorite song on there?
Well, the Urban Rhapsody album came, that came together when me and my horn player got back together, Daddy Lamel. We decided that. Well, I decided that I wasn't going to do. At first, I wanted to do a triple album, and then I wanted to do a double album, and then the powers that be, friends of mine in the business, like John McClain, who ran Interscope, who now runs A&M, who's a very good friend of mine, said, Rick, you should, me and him talked. He said, well, just, give him, move back in slowly and just give him a good album, a good dance album, do the kind of stuff you used to do, but with a 90s twist on it. And I thought about that. It's a 90s twist. I said, okay. So what we did was, me and Daddy decided to go, Daddy's been with me for over 20 years, and I decided, after talking after discussing it with him, we decided to call the album Urban Rhapsody, because what the concept was, what basically we wanted to do was gap the young and the old school together. I think Urban Rhapsody is an album where if you're 50, 40, 50, you can put it on and enjoy it, or if you're 15, you can put it on and enjoy it. I think it bridges the gap between the young and the old. There's a lot of great people on it: Snoop Dogg, Neb from the Five Footers, Charlie Wilson from the Gap Band, Rappin' Forte, Bobby Womack, JoJo from the Mary Jane Girls. It's a bunch of wonderful guests appearing on it. It's a funky album, yet there's other, it's not just funk. There's some great ballads on it, and some great mood type grooves on it. I don't know. I like it.
I like it too, man. When I met you out there, I hadn't had the opportunity to listen to it. I just heard the single, and I've listened to it since, and I like it too. I mean, I think it's a great project to step out on, as far as new stuff coming back. Like you said, it's kind of like old Rick James. It reminds me of like older stuff, like the first album and like the Bustin' Out of L7 album, with a little bit of a '90s twist on it.
Exactly.
There's a song in there that's I can't think of the full title, but it's about Mama. Is that dedicated to your mother?
Well, yeah, Mama's Eyes. My mother died of cancer about 4 years ago, and I never, ever really had the chance to tell her how much. She was in a coma when she was, for a week or so before she passed. And I was on a cocaine binge, and I finally got myself together to go back to Buffalo. And I really never got a chance to tell her how much she really, really meant to me. I mean, of course I told her during our life together, but I mean, at the end, I never really got a chance because I was just out of it, and I really, to this day, I'm still dealing with those feelings of not being able to say the things I wanted to say. So I decided to write a song kind of expressing how I felt. It was called Mama's Eyes. And well, the album, the Urban Rhapsody album, is dedicated to my mother, and that particular song kind of talks about her and what she was going through and stuff like that.
Cool. One of the high points, man, I thought of the your preview show at the House of Blues is when you sang Curtis Mayfield's "I'm So Proud," and you spoke of your mother prior to singing that, and I just want to say thank you for singing that for us, the audience, because we felt like there was a real, like you said, friend, kind of it seemed like more or less like Rick James and Friends as opposed to Rick James and fans and just people coming out, because everybody there had so much love for you that night. So I just want to say thanks to you personally for that song, and just asking we talk a little bit about some of the older stuff.
Sure.
Cool. Let's start with Teena Marie, and just tell us how and when you guys met, and talk a little bit about your relationship with her then and today.
Well, I first met Teena in 1978. No, I would say it was closer towards 79. I had my first album out, Come Get It, and I think it had gone platinum or something. And I was this young kid on fire in Motown, and everyone was anticipating my next album and anticipating a working relationship with me. And I was kind of wild, man, during those days. And I remember being in Motown and walking around and all these with my family, with my boys with me, and we were all just walking around from office to office saying hello to people or whatever we were doing. And I remember walking past an office and hearing this voice come out of it, and I opened the door, and it was this girl singing at piano. It was this little tiny white girl, and she was singing her heart out, and I thought it was incredible. I'd never heard a voice like that come out of such a small person, and especially, the fact that she was white and singing R&B with such conviction and detail that it was amazing to me. It was a truly amazing thing, amazing sight and sound, and I kind of talked to her a little bit, and she said she was with Motown, and she was signed there, and which I couldn't understand because she was so strong as an artist. I had never heard of her. And she said nothing ever came out, that Motown hadn't released anything on her. They couldn't find the right thing to do with her. They didn't know what to do, on and on. And I said, well, I wish you success. And I moved on, and that was pretty well that. I got a call about 3 weeks later when I was in Buffalo from her manager, asking me how would I like to record her, and would I like to work with her. And I immediately jumped at the chance, because one of my biggest things was when I was at Motown, and I felt when I did become successful that I wanted to touch on and produce and write for a lot of different people. So this was my opportunity for my first act outside of myself and the Stone City Band. Well, I hadn't done the Stone City Band yet, but I was contemplating it. So this was really my first act. And they sent me some stuff of what she sounded like to Buffalo, and I liked the way she sounded. And I wrote Deja Vu for her and a bunch of other stuff, Sucker for Love and Can't Love Anymore and a few other songs. And we called the album Wild and Peaceful. And it was a huge success. That's actually how we met and how it all started. We ended up working with each other over the years, off and on, and touring together. Right now, our relationship is not really what it should be, or what it could be, because, basically, she's her own person, and I'm my own person. And our romance, whatever romance that was there in the early days, has been gone, is dead and gone. And sometimes people harbor feelings, and they still carry flames, and I'm not saying I do, but I'm saying people do in general. And me and Teena are no different. We're not really that close right now, and I choose it to be that way. When we were doing Urban Rhapsody, she was supposed to sing "Never Say You Love Me," a song that I wrote for me and her, and she ended up trying to act like a diva, this grandiose person, and really pissed me off. So I put JoJo on the record for the Mary Jane Girls, who I think did a great job on it. And me and her really haven't spoken since then. She's upset, and I'm pissed off. That's why she wasn't at the House of Blues.
Okay, let's just talk about a couple of your hits, and I'm gonna let you go.
All right.
You and I.
You and I wrote You and I when I was married once for a while, a short while, and it was really written about my ex-wife. It was one of those songs where, you just, it was really me just really telling her that, what I felt in my heart about it, and I didn't want to write a love song about it. I wanted to write something funky, and really run it down to her. So You and I was, it was my first hit record for Motown. And it's kind of a sacred record in a lot of respects because I was really in love with my wife at the time when I wrote it. And it was just my little requiem to her and my little song to her about how long we'd be together and what I felt about her.
I don't care how many times I hear that song, man. I can't let it go by without singing that chorus. Let's talk about the album Super Freak. I mean, not the album Super Freak, the album Street Songs.
Well, Street Songs came in 81, and in 1980 I had done an album that was far less successful than any album that I'd ever done when I was really hitting. I think the album barely made it to gold. I had a bunch of ballads. It was called Garden of Love, or Love Garden, Garden of Love. That's what I think it was. And I think I at that point I was really big, and we were really just blowing up, and we could do no wrong, and I felt that I could do no wrong, and I just felt I could do whatever I wanted to do. But I found out quick to my amazement that the music industry isn't like that, and people aren't like that. And I put 6 songs on the record or something like that, and most of them were ballads. I think I wrote them when I was in the islands on a yacht or something, and the sun was shining all the time, and I was writing these songs. And I was very happy with Motown at the time. And I put this album, Garden of Love, together, and critics tore the album up. They hated it, and they said, what is he doing? And he has a lot of nerve to be doing this, and trying to get away with murder and all of this. And the album really didn't do well. I started to tour, and I quit touring because off this album, this particular Garden of Love album. And then everybody kept telling me, Rick, you got to go back to the streets. You got to go back to the streets. You got to go back to what you do. You got to go back to the funk. You got to get back to the music that you make and stop trying to do this craziness. So they kept saying, go back to the streets. So I said, all right. And I put together Street Songs. I needed a big album at that time. Thank God that Street Songs happened because that was the biggest album of my career. That's how it happened.
Cool. You got Detroit coming up tomorrow night, correct?
Yeah.
And then Milwaukee following that. Coming to Atlantic City on the East Coast November 1st. I'm planning on coming to your show there.
Where are we playing there?
November 1st.
No, but where?
Oh, where at? I think it's the Trump, but I'm really not certain.
What is that place like?
To tell you the truth, the Trump is pretty. It's extremely gaudy. Just, I mean, you think about Vegas and how overdone everything is there. The Trump is like the epitome of that in Atlantic City right now in terms of all the frilly kind of stuff they have there. Yeah, it's pretty avant-garde. It's really wild and colorful. But I'm not sure if that's the location or not. Okay. But I just know you guys are doing AC, and I'm going to come check out the show there.
All right. I'll have to check that out.
Cool, man. If I can, I'd like to reach out to you there, if that's cool.
No problem.
Good deal, man. I appreciate your time again, and all the best with the rest of the tour, the best with the album.
Thank you, man.
We love you, man, and keep it up.
Thank you, man.
Cool, brother.
All right.
All right.